Welcome back. KTCR, sharp teeth. You can tell we've changed everything here. I got my papers. My favorite right here. KTCR. No more prequels, though. I think we're like past that now. I think so. How do you not love these beats right here? It's like parties in LA. Please, baby, no more parties in LA. I'll let you guys go ahead and guess the artist. Isn't it funny how just like a camera change can make me look totally different? I'm telling you, the camera's weird. You got to learn it. I'm still learning this, everybody. I'm still learning. It's kind of having a little mini party there. It was kind of fun. Welcome back, KTCR Sharp Teeth. This is episode 3. And we're back. Yeah, we're talking again. You and me again. Just trying to learn about each other, trying to learn about how to handle these situations that are going on in the world. Crazy world out there. My advice to you would be never watch the news ever. It's bad for you, I think. There's something sick going on in the human spirit. It could be, I think to me, it could be maybe reaction. No one has actually got to the point, psychologically speaking, about what happened after the pandemic. Pandemic just shut everything down. So some people, yeah, fine. You were making a lot of money. God bless you. I'm glad that you're making money. But most of us, we were put out of our jobs. I had a tour business. I was bartending. I was, being a musician. I was playing out. I was a restaurateur. The whole bit. I was in all of this stuff. And when the pandemic closed down, it just ruined my entire life. And I can only imagine the people that had to somehow survive that and get through that. Oh, I can't even imagine how terrible that is. And they're not going to forget it either, by the way. Everybody is trying to go back and act like everything's going to be normal again. It's never going to be normal. There are people who really lost everything during this shutdown that occurred. It's really tough, and my heart goes out to any of you who've lost anything or anybody else who's lost anything. It's really rough. I lost all my money. That's cool. Yeah. That's why it's important to subscribe. Please hit the subscribe button, please. If I can get to 1,000 members, I can actually start making money off this channel. It takes 1 minute from you. If you're a member of Gmail, or if you're a member of whatever, go to YouTube. You don't have to pay anything. It's not weird. You just go to YouTube and just press the subscribe channel. That's it. And it adds me more viewers. Right now, we added a couple more subscribers, which is awesome. We've got a bunch of viewers. Like, this video on the tab. And we could do something, here. We can actually really make something interesting. And as I said, the format, Sharp Teeth. We always have our intro, which we just did, which you got to watch me dance around to fun rap music. My first record I ever had was Run DMC Raising Hell, which is odd for a white boy to have that in a small Rhode Island town as their first tape they really loved. Plus BC Boys, obviously. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, other than that. So we're getting to it. So we have all the stuff. As I said, we have our papers. And we have my favorite. I love it. Like my little coaching dialogue, Sharp Teeth here. So we're going to go ahead and yes, it says promote. So I think I just did that, right? Press the subscribe button. It's not hard to do. Please. Okay. Second, we're going to talk about a couple other things. Talk to a lot of old friends today. Fantastic. It's always good to reconnect with people. I had a great time with 1 or 2 friends that I haven't talked to in a while. It's awesome. I would advise you as people, as viewers, to make sure you reach out to those people that you haven't talked to in a while. They might really want to talk to you, And I understand if people don't want to talk to other people, or maybe there was some beef or whatever, maybe there's a problem you had or something, squash it. Okay. 2023, year of the wet bunny. All right. Let's just put it all aside. Get rid of it. All right. So let's get into it. We've got 3 different topics. You know this. This is how we're going to do it. 3 different topics. And of course, in the mid phase, we'll do the creep of the week. Creep of the week. Something we don't like. It doesn't have to be a person. It might be a person eventually. You know, you never know. There's always a creep of the week. And there's always somebody or something that we need to talk about, that we need to talk shit on. Also, something we haven't discussed. It's a new idea I think is kind of interesting. And it's called Talk Back. Don't you talk back? No, talk back. What does it go? You can comment and throw a question in, and as long as it's an interesting question, I will personally address it personally. I will do it myself. If it's some kind of just bullshit, that's fine too. Maybe I'll address that too. Maybe I'll address you. You don't know. You know, maybe I'll get to you about it. But yeah, so that's this is the structure of the show. This is, episode 3. So thanks for tuning in. If you've been watching all of these, then thank you very much. So yeah, so we got the 3 topics. There'll always be the prologue to our show when we talk about everything. Then we have the 3 topics. That could be news, entertainment, politics, etc. We move into creep of the week, and then we do the talk back portion of the series. But since it's so new, no one's really talked back. So what can we do? Maybe I'll make something up, just lie to you. Just kidding. I'll never lie to you. So to begin, what do we have here? All right. So on our first section, we're going to talk about something that's really personal to me. So number 1, we're going to talk about fiction novels. Now, a lot of people, it's unfortunate these days that people don't even read anymore. Look, I know people read BuzzFeed articles. They read stuff online. They read different, magazines. They like The Atlantic or New York Times or The Economist, my favorite magazine. What's unfortunate is a lot of people have stopped reading novels. Now, when I was young, I thought books were the greatest thing that ever were invented in the history of time. I thought they were the greatest things that could ever fall from the gods onto this planet. And they were, and it really changed my life. I grew up in a very, I wouldn't say wealthy family. It was wealthy in the sense of love. There was a lot of love there. I wouldn't say it was very, we weren't millionaires. We weren't hundredaires. We were, we grew up like most of you guys in America. We didn't really have a lot of money. What really moved me when I was younger was books. Just fiction novels, especially. It probably started with Choose Your Own Adventure books. Remember those? Or the Hardy Boys for boys, or Nancy Drew for girls, or Agatha Christie novels, or, all these interesting, YA, what will be called YA fiction nowadays. It was remarkable. The amount of Stephen King novels, which my mother should never have let me read. I think she was just happy that I was reading. So she's like, yeah, go ahead and just read whatever you want. Stephen King, totally a healthy guy. Not healthy. No, you can't read it at 11 years old. The book, It. I mean, you guys seen the movie, but if you read the book and you're 11, that's crazy. There's so much evil in that shit. It's unbelievable. Now, I'm not blaming my mother. Of course, she's a wonderful woman. But, to have that kind of experience and to have that kind of that amount of like information come to you, oh my God. the darkness in that novel. And people wonder why I write all my stories are so fucked up. Like, there's a reason for that. I think crime came later, crime novels, but we're talking about genre fiction right now. And genre fiction is an interesting topic because now everything is genre fiction. And so one of the things I was talking about on my little checklist here, my favorite friend, is one of my favorite authors who's interestingly enough still alive and will never, ever, ever, ever probably watch this podcast ever. I wish he would. His name is Milan Kundera. Now, I do love him very much. I do think he's one of the greatest writers ever. I put a link in the bottom. So if you want to know about it, in Kill the Cat Radio, KTCR, in our interview portion, in the oral essays portion, I made a whole, I actually read from his work, and he's the greatest living writer right now. Most people who write now are, like graduate students, MFA program people. They're cool, whatever. They're talented, but the depth of his work is amazing, and no one teaches him in schools. And I don't understand this. They'll teach everybody else, we got Shakespeare, of course, Virgil, Homer, John Milton. It goes way back. And then you have like the, sort of the 19th century people, Emily Dickinson, Virginia Woolf, Flannery O'Connor in the 1950s and 60s, who wrote some of the most fantastic short stories ever. But I kind of want to focus on Kundera. One of the interesting things about like what he went through in his life was that it's kind of similar to cancel culture now. You know how everybody's like gets canceled. You say the wrong thing and suddenly you're fucked. He went through the same thing. And in fact, his first novel he ever wrote was called The Joke. And I go into this way more in detail in the in my own oral essay I did, which you can listen to just in the link below. You can go ahead and check it out. But he basically, to sum it up short, communists had just taken over that area in the Eastern European bloc. And he made a joke to one of his supervisors or one of his major corporals, or the people who were in control of everything. And he lost his entire job. He was a college professor. He had books. He was a music professor. He had an established career, because he made one joke mocking, someone more powerful than him in authority. He lost his whole livelihood. He had a wife, he had a whole, family connections in his own country. And because these people who are so Stalinistic and so without humor, because that's always how you're in a room full of fascists, is when no one laughs, even at dumb jokes. He lost his entire life and his career just because he wrote a book. And then he wrote a book about that called The Joke. He basically had to flee his own country. And of course, where did he go? Paris. Of course he's going to go to Paris. And it was great to see that he escaped, got out of there, and he ended up spending his whole life just writing, and he's still alive now. I think he's in his late 90s. So Milan, if you even can hear or read this, I love you. I think you're one of the greatest writers ever. You probably will never look at this video, but I really, really love you. You changed my life. For those who don't know, Milan Kundera wrote The Unbearable Lightness of Being. It's kind of a famous title. He wrote another book called Immortality. He wrote a book called The Book of Laughter and Forgetting. He wrote his first book, The Joke. And he ended up starting to write in French, which was okay. But, when he was writing his own language, and his translators were actually really, really great translators. So I guess this first topic of this week is this man Kundera. If I can give any of you viewers advice, and if you still care about reading and writing and want to really, try something else, he's funny. I mean, I can see why people like kind of turned on him. I could see why. He did write about men and women that were in an interesting way, and it was the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So people could talk about the difference of the sexes without being all weird. I mean, he was talking about gender. He was talking about heterosexuality. I don't think there's a lot of homosexuality in his books. So for those who are looking for something else, don't even bother. I think to get down to the bottom of it, his sentence structure, his ideas, the way he composes a story, the way he makes a story happen. I am so jealous of this. It's probably one of the greatest living writers alive right now. And I don't know how long it will be, but I hope he stays around. I hope. Yeah. So please pick him up. And in a world where any real honest talk can be criticized or canceled or removed immediately from media or have their lives destroyed, the whole idea of what happened to him, to have his own books removed from his own libraries in his own country of the Czech Republic at the time, well, it was, Czechoslovakia, but after they did the split, to have his own books and everything he ever did, and he was a music teacher as well, to have that removed simply because he started fucking with the government and the people who were in power, and to know that he had to leave his own country even to just get anywhere. I'm sorry. Like, I'll get back to him again. We'll talk more about him later, and it's just a crime against humanity to not show people this amazing work that this, a writer has done. So moving on. Number 2. It's a question that's kind of has been on my mind a lot. And again, not to completely critique the world around us, but it needs some critiquing. It's the subject of homeschooling. Now, I'm a product of public school. In fact, I didn't get kicked out, but maybe I got kicked out. All right, maybe all right. So maybe I was a bad kid. Public education has gone down the tubes 100% in the United States of America. At least when I was coming up, we learned how to read and write. We learned arithmetic. We learned the basics. We learned civics. We used to have classes like home economics, which, it was like when you're a kid, people would make fun of like it was like the housewife's class. It's not, who teach you like how to handle ovens and, making sure food was baked properly, or how to just operate in a system of home economics, like what would go on in the home. And it wasn't propaganda. It wasn't making people think that they were slaves, that they had to be in there. It wasn't like 1950s wives. How dare you, go take care of your husband, go wear a dress like Mad Men or something like this. No, it was a really interesting program. I took it. I loved it. And if you remember other classes, if you're around my age, because I'm 45, if you remember these classes like the woodworking classes, right? Shop. They used to call it shop class. We would learn actually how to cut wood, and there was a lot of kind of mechanical classes that you could take. And I think here in Brooklyn too, I think there's like automotive schools you could go to where you could actually learn like a class or a field or some kind of practical education that would maybe help you. If you didn't want to go to the more academic grad school arts like I did, unfortunately, you could like build a desk. I mean, these things are really, really, really important to learn eventually in your life. And I think I don't think they teach that anymore. Another class that's not being taught anymore is like civics, the idea of what law is. One of the most interesting classes I ever took when I was in community college. I was so lucky to have this class, Intro to Criminal Justice. Now, most of my artist friends did not want to take this course because obviously most of them are criminals. I too was one as well, but not in a bad way, but in a different way. And it was Intro to Criminal Justice, and I have to say it was one of the most interesting classes I've ever taken in my life. I've read somewhere that the average American child is so below in math, in reading, in writing, and knowledge of home economics, or knowledge of woodshop, or knowledge of criminal justice, or any of this stuff. Civics, how law works, what are the three judicial branches? I mean, I remember even trying to like ask people, like, do you know the three judicial branches? They didn't even know what it was. And this to me is, it's probably the most wealthy country in the world, but we don't even have this kind of educational process. And it's just a shame. So when I bring up homeschooling on my list here, it's, if I had a kid myself, or if I was in a situation where I had kids, I would seriously consider homeschooling, in the sense that the kids still will always be online. They're going to interact with other people. They're going to have social media things, which also should be regulated. But if they don't have a real proper, great pyramid of learning, they're not going to be ready to become true adults and to see even things that they might enjoy that maybe they didn't know they enjoyed in the growing phases of their life. So I think homeschooling is an interesting thing. It's just, a topic we'll come back to. And if you have any questions or ideas or comments on it, please put them in the comment section here and we'll address them. Because without that, then we're not building the next generation properly. We don't have that. So it's the parents' job, or at least the caretaker's job, to educate these children into reading and writing and arithmetic and home ec and all the stuff we talked about already, to prepare them for the future. I mean, who's going to take care of this country once everybody's dead? The third topic that I'd like to get into, again, moving on, is something that I created, not to self promote anything, because it's actually a little bit different than that. But we are the 10th year anniversary of something called Literate Sunday. Literate Sunday is an anonymous short story and poetry group. So people can send us stories, and then we send them out to other people anonymously on an email function. It's totally free. We do a fund drive twice a year, but it's only for $5. So that's not like a lot of money. That's like cheaper than any kind of normal subscription to anything. It's to get readers engaged, to get writers engaged. And the fact that it's anonymous kind of takes the pressure off the writer themselves. So you can see kind of a through line through these three topics this week. So you had Milan Kundera, right? You had homeschooling, and now you have Literate Sunday. You can look it up. You can just Google it. But if you want to be a member, just send an email to literatesunday@gmail.com. You'll get an email, and then you'll be part of this thing. It's in over 20 countries around the world. Totally anonymous, interesting stuff. We're moving into what I call Literate Sunday 2.0 as the leader. It's been great. I've met writers from all over the world. I was able to read so many different kinds of styles of writing, interesting people. And now we get to even put out our literary journal called Catalog, which is fantastic because we can really now reveal these great writers, and they can come out and be a part of Literate Sunday. It started very small. It was 5 of us youngsters. I think I was about 33. And there was a bunch of different writers that were doing their thing. I don't know. I think I made a joke. I was bartending at the time at the bar, and I just made a joke to them, and I said, "Hey, maybe you can write a story, but don't tell me it's you. Can you change your style enough? Can you change your genre enough to make it totally different than I would ever expect?" So if somebody was always writing crime, could they write a romance short story? Or if someone always wrote literary fiction, could they write sci-fi? could you change it up at a moment's notice? And I thought that was a really great way to flex your writing power, like being really strong about it. And join up. If you're a reader or a writer and you're interested in reading and writing, then I think you should be a part of it. We have thousands of members, as I said, over 20 different countries. You will always get an email on Sunday as long as I'm alive. And we're coming up on 10 years of doing this. I can't believe it's been 10 years. How old am I? God, such a great group. And I'm really proud of what we started here. And it was really a great literary adventure and something that I all right. So we're moving on. What do we got here? Oh boy, here we go. Your guys' favorite. Who's the creep of the week this week? All right. Complainers. Fucking complainers. You know these people. All they do is bitch, 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 bitch. That's all they do. They don't even know how to be happy. They just bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch. You know who I'm talking about. Everybody's got one of these people in their lives. Now, I will certainly launch criticisms of what's going on in my life. Absolutely. I will. It's okay to say something that's going wrong in your life to somebody else, because that's what friends are for. What are friends are for? I mean, you could do that right now in the comment section right now. You could bitch if you want right now. There are people who are absolutely 100% committed to being miserable in their life. 100% committed. I know them. They want. You can have bad things happen in your life, and you should let that out. Like tell a friend, tell someone else what's going on with you. Be open. Don't hold it in. But there's a difference between, you know what I mean, expressing yourself and complainers. Complainers. I can't stand these fucking people. I understand that life's hard. I get it. No one is going to ever tell you that life is easy. Life is unfair and it's never going to work out and you're going to die. That's the truth. But you don't have to bitch all the time. You do have agency. You can get around problems. If you have a problem with your relationship, leave them. Not hard. If you don't like where you live, leave it. Not hard. If you have health issues, yes, I understand. I'm a cancer survivor. I get it. I'm with you on that. But if you have cancer and you're still smoking, you're an asshole. The world is full of choices. And unless you're in jail where you don't have a choice, you do have options. Choose something else. I was watching that, I really loved Trainspotting when I was younger because, I used to do bad things. And I was watching the sequel to it, Trainspotting 2, which I actually think is a pretty good movie. You should check it out. But there's a great line in it, and it said, you're an addict. You're just an addict, like one character saying it to another character. And then the other character's like, yeah, I know. What do you got? Another 12 steps for me? He's like, no. He said, don't be sad you're an addict. Just know you have a problem and channel it into a different place. Put it somewhere else. Don't sit on it. Don't think that you're just in this box. You can survive somewhere else. You can figure something else out. Complainers, it's almost like they like being in the swamp. They enjoy it. It's something about the swamp that they just love. And usually brings a lot of people who are around them down. It doesn't help them at all. It doesn't help society. It doesn't help anybody. It's just boring. In my opinion, it's boring. No offense. If you have real problems, seek help. Do whatever you can possibly do to get help. But if you just sit there after you get help and you have the opportunities to do that, then why the fuck Are you complaining to anyone else? Like, seriously, that's your problem. Get over it. Most people don't want to be around that shit. You know, if you're going to suffer, suffer quietly. So that's the creep of the week this week. Complainers. That is my one big beef I have with humanity for this episode. We live in probably the greatest country in the earth. Truly. USA, big time. Plenty of opportunity here, plenty of things to do. If you just want it, you could probably figure out a way to get around it. Plus, you have to remember, you're gonna die. Right? Like, the check's in the mail. The Reaper is coming with his little, what is that? The scythe or whatever. Do something. Do something, please. Anything you can. And even if you are in trouble, please reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to this channel. You can reach out to a friend. If you don't want to talk to me, I can help you find somebody that maybe you can talk to or whatever. But complainers, the ones who just sit in the shit, you know, just love it there. Fuck you, man. I was a bartender for almost 23 years now. I've listened to the litany of sad drunks being like, I'm sad about everything. It's like, really, dude? Really? Or dudette? You're sad? Well, I got an idea for you. Go outside of your own mind for a minute. And this is the best advice I could ever tell you. And this is the best advice I've heard. Depression is another word for self-obsession. Get out of your head. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Matthew Diabate. This is KTCR Sharp Teeth, episode 3. We'll be doing a lot of these next coming days. Just putting it down there. YouTube loves content, but I'm telling you right now, do us a favor. Subscribe down below. It's free. It's not weird. Join us, like us, etc., etc. And we'll see you soon. Thanks again.